it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with some age gap romance recommendations for you. I've done this once before about a year ago. I will link that down below. So the books on that recommendation list are not on this one, so make sure you check that out after watching this one. I am wearing my Crazy for Razy t-shirt because Reich and Daisy are my favorite age gap couple. I love them so much. They're in the other video, but I thought it'd be appropriate to wear my favorite age gap couple t-shirt. But I'm here today to share with you some age gap romances that I love. I love the angstiness and sometimes the forbidden nature of a good age gap romance, and it's just so good. And I'm gonna go ahead and get to the recommendations. They may be big age gaps, it may be kind of like 5 years, which isn't too taboo, but it's still an age gap. The first one I have for you is one that I've recently read and I absolutely loved it, and that is The Forbidden Man by Karina Halley. This one is actually with an older woman, and that's why I loved it so much. She is in her late 30s and he is in his early 20s. I think he's like 23. And he is Spanish, I believe, and she is American, but she worked in the UK on a soccer team, and she's a trainer for a soccer team, and she was actually married to either the coach or the owner. I think it was the coach though of that team. And then he cheated on her, they got divorced, and she's kind of broken and she didn't want to keep on working with him, especially based on what was rumors were floating around. So then she decided to apply for a job at Madrid with their soccer team, and she gets it as a trainer. So not only is he younger, but it's definitely forbidden because they work together and the trainers are not allowed to fraternize with the players in a romantic way. And so obviously he's like, I like this woman and I want this woman, and she was like, we can't. And it goes from there, and it's so good. I loved it so much. It's a giant book, and it was called The Younger Man, and then the author decided to change it to The Forbidden Man because that fitted better. And I do think it fitted better because it was more so the fact that their romance was forbidden because of their work and not necessarily that he was young. I mean, she does talk about how young he is, and that is definitely a conversation they have, but their conflict more is about the forbidden nature of their relationship. So if you like a good forbidden romance with a good age gap, you need to pick up this book. Speaking of Karina Halley, I cannot believe I forgot Love and English the last time I did this video, because this one is actually the coach of the Spanish soccer team in The Forbidden Man. So Love and English came out a long time ago, and that character and the woman that he falls in love with in Love and English are both in The Forbidden Man, and I love that. And they discuss how they had a forbidden age gap romance and how this girl is having one as well. And so what happens in Love and English is that there's this girl who, it's been a few years since I've read this. She, I believe, is like on a tour, and he ends up being on that tour, and they fall in love, even though I think he's married too when it's happening. I think he might be in the midst of a divorce or something. I really don't remember. And she was a lot younger and very like free spirit, and he's just this brooding older guy who's a soccer coach. So it's really good, especially if you love European romances. I love romances with travel, and so I really loved that one as well. And if you love that one, you have to read The Forbidden Man because those characters do come up in that book. The next one I have is Desperate Measures by Katee Robert. I literally just read this like a week ago, and it was really good. It's a Jasmine and Jafar retelling, but definitely much steamier than any Disney thing is gonna be. And what happens is Jasmine actually hates her father, and she's pretty much held captive by her father, and Jafar kind of like kidnaps her, but like she's willing. So he, well, I don't know what spoiler or not, but he ends up taking her, and they have this really hate to love passionate romance, and it's more like playful, like they don't actually hate each other, but that's part of like their banter, is that they act like they hate each other, and he's like a lot older, like her dad age older. So if you like the kind of romance and you like the Jafar Jasmine retelling romance, you should check it out. Next I have On the Rocks by Kandi Steiner. This is book 1 in this series, and this one is about a girl who is really young. She's not even graduated college yet, and she's engaged to this guy who is a little bit older than her, and she goes to the local whiskey distillery to buy her husband-to-be a barrel of whiskey for their wedding, and she runs into the Beckett brother there who works there. The Beckett brothers, there's 4 of them, so they all get their own book. This one is Noah, and she's known him for a while. They live in a small town, and she she and him instantly kind of hit it off in like kind of like a bantery sort of way and end up spending more time together, and she kind of reevaluates her life, what she's doing, and he's like, why are you settling down so young? Her husband-to-be wants to be a politician, so he's like, are you really gonna be able to just like let yourself live for your man for your whole life? You're not even out of college yet. Don't you want dreams and aspirations to achieve? And she reevaluates her life. He is a little bit older than her. I don't know if it's not 10 years, I don't think, but they do discuss the fact that there is an age gap between them, but it was really cute, and if you like that kind of small town romance, I'd recommend this book. I feel like the best age gaps are the ones in dark romances, so I have the 2 books by Cora Riley. I don't know what this series is called, but I have Bound by Honor and Bound by Duty. These are the first 2 books in the series. They are both Marriage of Conveniences, and our girls are kind of married off before they're 18, I believe. No, the first one is. So in the first book, she's like 16, I want to say, and she's betrothed to this guy who's a lot older than her, I think like 6 years, and they have to wait until she's 18, and then they have to get married, and she is terrified of him, and it's their romance in that one. And then in the next one, she is a widow, but she's still really young. She's in her mid-20s, I think, and the guy is in his 30s, and he's also a widower, so they both have lost their spouses. He was in love with his, she was not in love with hers, but they had like kind of an agreement, and so now she is going to marry him because he needs a wife, because you know every mafia man needs a wife, and it's kind of a lot of alliances going on. That's why they do get betrothed to people, because alliances between families and stuff, and it's dark romances. I really like this one and the angst that was in it, and then this one was really good as well. So if you like the mafia age gap, check these out. Speaking of mafia and age gap and Marriage of Convenience, there is The Kiss Thief by LJ Shen. This one you guys all probably know, and she is pretty much betrothed by her parents, I think, and he is a politician, and she has to get married to him, and she learns to love him. There are some questions about consent in here, so be aware of that when you go into this. A lot of these are like, you know, I said no, but he could tell I meant yes, because I really did mean yes. Romances kind of have that relationship in here, but this one was really good. I read it really quickly, so I don't remember too much that happened in the plot, but it is a mafia age gap romance. And the last one I have for you is one that I gave 3 stars, so that's why I kept it for the end. I didn't love it, but I do know a lot of people do love this one, and it's Luna and the Lie by Mariana Zapata. I think I gave it 3. I might have given it 4, like 3.5, and Luna is a mechanic, so she works at a mechanic shop, and she really does a lot more of the like painting and stuff of cars, and there's this guy who works there who's very brooding and angry and just lumbers around, and he yells at everybody, and she's always like happy, and she tries to get on his good side, and he has a very bad relationship with the owner of the mechanic shop, and she has a great relationship with him. He helped her out in her time of need, and so she wants them to get along. That guy's basically like her dad, and this other guy who's the brooding guy, they get into screaming fights all the time, those 2 guys, and so she's trying to make sure that they're all okay, and she ends up spending more time with him, and he kind of decides he wants to spend more time with her, even though he acts like he really hates her, and it's really fun. It's kind of slow at times. It's one of Mariana Zapata's slow burn romances, but I really did enjoy the age gap and how caring the guy was by the end. I'm blanking on his name, but it was really cute, and if you like Mariana Zapata, you probably would like this book as well. And those are some age gap recommendations. I really do also want to read Come to Daddy by Brianna Hale. Brianne Hale, I don't remember her name, but I've heard a lot of recommendations by this author, and for this book, I think it's a duet, and I really want to read it. I think it's a sugar daddy kind of book, and a lot of people have enjoyed it, so it is definitely on my soon to read TBR, so I want to check that out. Let me know any more of your age gap recommendations down below, and don't forget to check out my first recommendation video I did a year ago. That was a long time ago, but check that out as well, because those books are still really, really good. And that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.